Oh, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We're on episode 102. Brian Leach of my little hockey show, where once a week I go through all of the news and the what's happenings around the NHL, mainly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames, because that's my favorite teams. But we'll be talking about all 32 teams on this podcast. So what do we got on tap for today? Well, we got round 3 of the freaking playoffs. It has been actually really enjoyable. So we'll be breaking down what's been going down in round 3 so far, and we got some news going down in the NHL that's not playoff stuff. We got new coaches getting hired, we got GMs getting fired and hired, so we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be looking at the PWHL playoff, talk a little bit about that as well, and the wacky World Cup of Hockey, whatever the heck tournament is going on over there on the background, just happening back there. We'll touch on that as well, but let's just dive into the playoffs, man. Let's get into round 3 talk. Which series should we go to first? I mean, you got the Canadian stuff. All right, let's go to Dallas and Edmonton. So this has been a wild series so far. Really enjoying this one. It's been great. So Leon Draisaitl, my goodness. We're going to talk about out of the 4 teams at least. I don't think there's anyone that's outside, like, who's been eliminated from the playoffs that would be in Conn Smythe contention right now, but I'll pick a Conn Smythe contender from each team right now. And for Edmonton, I think you got to pick Leon Draisaitl, man. I know that McDavid has a lot of points. Bouchard has a lot of freaking points. It's those two are 1, 2, 3 leading scorers in the playoffs right now. They are just absolutely insane. And Bouchard, I know he gets a lot of flack for not being the best defenseman, but my goodness, man, this guy has 22 points in 15 games. 5 goals, 17 assists. Bouchard's been amazing, but I wouldn't pick him for my Conn Smythe. It's Leon freaking Draisaitl, man. He's got a 13, I don't know if he got another point there, but he had or still has a 13-plus game point streak going on in the playoffs. This guy, he's been unfreaking believable. Leon Draisaitl. I'm going to take a deep dive into this guy's playoff stats, but so far he has been absolutely crushing it in this playoff. He has 25 points in 15 games. So does McDavid, but the difference is Leon scored 9 goals. McDavid has 4 goals. So, I mean, goals are very hard to come by, especially in this playoffs. This has been a really low-scoring playoff, which, I mean, some series it's been not so good, but for these 2 series, it being low scoring has not taken away from my enjoyment of it so far. It's been really good hockey right here. So let's take let's take a look at Leon Draisaitl's production in the playoffs so far in his career. 64 games, he has 102 freaking points in 64 games in the playoffs. 40 goals and 62 assists. Now that is what's up right there. His last 3 runs alone have been just bananas. 16 games, 32 points, 12 games, 18 points, and this current one, 15 games, 25 points. He is just a mutant in terms of point production in the playoffs. He is arguably better than McDavid in the playoffs. They're both insane, but Draisaitl, he just seems to get a little bit more goals, and he just plays a little bit more clutch, and we all remember the one-legged, no-legged run he had, and he was still a monster. So Leon Draisaitl will go down as one of the best playoff performers of all time, and people bring up, we'll bring it to the Leafs for a second, just because people are talking about, you're not seeing any of this kind of play out of the Stars in Toronto. We have not seen this level of dominance from Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander. At best, you get them at point a game for Nylander, but we have never seen them just take over series, take over runs. They haven't had any runs, really, right? So yeah, man, people are saying, like, watching this current playoffs, like round 2, round 3, people are like, yeah, the Leafs would have gotten mutilated by Florida. And I'm on that train as well. I was like, they would have gotten slaughtered by Florida. Like, there's just no freaking way. You look at how Florida's playing right now as a team, defensively and everything. Like, all four of these elite four, like, Toronto isn't even close to that level of play. They just don't have it. They haven't shown us that. I mean, so it's proofs in the pudding. I mean, Leon McDavid, they just perform in the regular season and the playoffs and beyond. So that's what you're looking for out of your stars. And these guys are Leon's making less money than Marner, Matthews, Nylander now. And McDavid, he's making less than Matthews, and you're getting so much more out of these guys. But again, my pick for Edmonton, going back to the Conn Smythe, it's Leon Draisaitl for me, absolutely. But McDavid, it's not over yet. I'm saying, like, if we were picking it today, but McDavid, he looks like he's starting to, shoot a little bit more. Maybe his hands, his wrists, whatever's going on up there is feeling a little bit better. He's starting to put in some goals now, but he's also been ridiculous. For Dallas, who would I pick there? This is a very well-balanced team, right? Honestly, I'm looking at, like, Miro Heiskanen. He's just been so important and effective for Dallas, like, all around, offensively, defensively. As a defenseman, he's got 15 points in 16 games, 6 goals. Like, he's been unbelievable for Dallas. Without him and that blue line, like, the way that they're utilizing that Lundqvist guy on the back end, only playing 5-6 minutes, Heiskanen's picking up huge minutes and huge moments. Power play, penalty kill, you name it. He's playing up against the biggest guys, the hardest guys to play against, and he's producing very well for them. Robertson's making a case now. He's starting to heat up. If he can continue his current play, he will definitely have a case. And then the Ott man. You can't count out the goaltending. Ottinger has been fantastic. So, very tough, honestly. I would say Heiskanen and Ottinger would be the front runners. I would just pick Heiskanen because I feel like he, doesn't always get the respect. So I would go with them. So we'll stay with that. We'll return to the Conn Smythe when we get to the Eastern Series. But let's stay with Dallas and Edmonton. There we go. I just had a little brain freeze right there. Not having anything cold at the moment, but okay, so Dallas and Edmonton. This has been a really fun series, really enjoying it so far. I haven't been able to watch the games in their entirety, but I am watching the game in 30, and I am picking up a lot of what Edmonton and Dallas has been putting down so far. Really fun. So Leon Draisaitl's ridiculous playoff point streak. I mean, wow, bro. That has been absolutely ridiculous. I think this is in game 2 where there was definitely some shenanigans going on, controversy for sure, but McDavid, the double high sticking minor in overtime. So, yeah, McDavid, pretty furious about that one, but he whacked him in the face, man. Like, I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole of the reffing and how it gets very situational from almost minute to minute. There's a big difference from the beginning of the first period and the ending of the third period. Like, it's almost just prison rules at the final minute of the third period. Like, nothing's going to go down, especially if the game is tied and about to be heading into overtime. And then we get to overtime and, shit is pretty tight there, pretty lenient. They don't want the game to end in, a power play. They just kind of the referees don't want to have to be involved with that kind of thing. But this one, they had no choice. Their hands were tied. I forget who the heck he hit. He hit someone in the face, McDavid, and he goes down, and there's blood, and there's just clear evidence. So they have to call the double minor 4 minutes. Thankfully, I'm rooting for Dallas. I was actually getting shit for that at work because we're watching it in the break room, and I'm like, oh, I'm rooting for Dallas, and everyone's like, oh, what the heck, are you Canadian and shit? And I'm like, I'm not getting into that argument. There's tons of Canadian guys on frickin' Dallas, but I was like, Jovo Cop, man, like, that's the homie right there. Like, I really like the Dallas team, like Heinz, Robertson, Heiskanen, Ottinger. they have a really freaking good team. Marchman's been a psychopath, like just a straight up psychopath. Anyway, it was the right call. It was like, I wish they would just stick to the fucking rule book and just get over themselves. But the league is run by a lawyer, so it is what it is. Shit is situational, and the referees just are going to do it. But honestly, they made the right call there. McDavid, it's fine. The Oilers kill it off. And then McDavid is absolutely fucking robbed by Ottinger. Like, it looks like, could it get any freaking worse for McDavid? But it's okay. He redeems himself, and he scores the game-winning goal in double overtime. But, oh my goodness, that was a ridiculous game, man. Just carnage. The overtime, absolutely bananas. And Tyler Seguin, freaking starting to get it going, man. He's had, the stories written about him a few times that he doesn't perform very well in the playoffs. That's pretty much the main reason why Boston moved on from him. And he's had a few dud playoff runs with Dallas, and he's, not really been lighting the lamp a lot in the the regular season either lately, but he had an amazing game one, I think, with 2 goals. He was outstanding in that game, and he's been playing pretty good. Ottinger had an amazing performance in game 2. Dallas's win right there. I think Skinner, he's hot and cold. He gets a lot of flack, but I think he was good. But he did let in a bad goal there with Jamie Benn. That was on the first shot of the game too. But then he completely, got it together, and that's really important. Like, how do you respond after a bad goal? He responded very well, so it just sucks that, put them down early, and it's not a great way to start, but he battled back. Apparently they're going to go with him in Game 4 again, so it is what it is. I mean, it's some Edmonton fans would maybe be like, oh, what about Picard? But, I mean, Skinner hasn't been bad. It's just he hasn't been outstanding, but he's been good enough, I think. And Oilers, I don't know who said it, but I think it was probably McDavid talking about it, but they were upset with the lack of calls that they weren't getting, I think, in Game 2. So, obviously, they were probably going to get more calls in Game 3, which I think they did, but it doesn't really matter because Game 3, Rupe Hintz finally returns to the series, and this awakens Jason Robertson, who's been a little bit quiet. Like, he's been good, but not great. He's also, just had a little bit of a quieter season all around. He was over 100 points last year, just slaughtering it. Near 50 goal scorer last season. Looked like a lot of people last year were pegging him for an easy, well, I won't say easy, but pegging him for 50 goals this season. Didn't quite happen, but Dallas is deep, so they were able to run more lines and maybe give him a little bit more break with the bigger picture in mind being a deep playoff run. And here comes Hintz. He is honestly one of the big underrated elements of that line. He creates space. He's an amazing passer. He's just really good. I love Rupe Hintz. He's such a fantastic player. I love defending him. Like, whenever I pick him in fantasy, I'll usually get like an eyebrow thrown at me, and I'm like, what? The dude is a 40 goal scorer on an amazing team. Like, what? And he generally is a huge performer for Dallas in the playoffs, and here he comes setting up Robertson for a huge hat-trick game, and Robertson was great. I mean, the one goal there that he scored, he banked it off of Skinner. That one, it looks gross, but that was a very high IQ goal by Robertson. Like, it's kind of lucky too. Of course, like, you got to have luck, but you got to be good to be lucky, all that shit. But Robertson banking it in off that little itty bitty triangle that was available there, like, absolutely insane. That's the kind of goals that are starting to happen more in this, high skilled NHL. Guys are doing crazy shit like that. It was I was impressed. I was like, that was straight up impressive. I forget what other, he just scores freaking nice goals, man. And Dallas, this was a rough game for not Dallas, but Edmonton. They came out swinging in the first period. Holy shit, they were on fire. And then they backed off. They allowed Dallas to get back into it, and Dallas took that opportunity. They scored 3 quick goals in the second period. I think it was 3 goals in under 4 minutes. Like, it was insane. And that was pretty much it. They took the momentum of that game, and basically didn't look back. Robertson was incredible. Rupe Heinz getting back into that lineup has been huge. That third line continues to be a huge thorn into the side of Edmonton's freaking side. I mean, Sagan and Dadonov has been a mutant out there. He's flying around being absolutely crazy, crashing the net, just being a nuisance out there. He's been fantastic. And a good note for Edmonton, Adam Henrique returned. That's huge for them. And he scored a goal in that game. So that's a good sign. They really need him for some depth in their forward lineup. But yeah, man, Darnell Nurse catching some heat for sure. He generally does when it's a high-scoring loss for the Edmonton Oilers. And yeah, man, he's, it's always going to be more magnified because of the contract that he has. He's a $9 million plus defenseman. And no, he is absolutely not playing up to that level for Edmonton defensively. Offensively, it's been a little bit rough for Darnell Nurse. I believe it was Leon Draisaitl who came out and defended him. Like, he's playing a role. It just sucks that he's got a huge contract tied to him that is, really magnifying his game, and people are always going to, rat on him. And it's not his fault that he said yes to that contract. You gotta blame the dude that offered the contract to him. I mean, he was playing some very good hockey at the time. He was putting up big goals, and he was just very effective. Now, when he signed that $9+ million contract, I was like, holy shit. Like, there was even for the play that he was, the level he was playing at, that was very rich, very, very rich, and a long contract, hence the richness. But yeah, it's not aging very well at all, but he's not going anywhere. He's not going to go anywhere. He's part of Edmonton. But I like Darnell Nurse. I do. I know he's just not. He is definitely the whipping boy for Edmonton. That is for sure. And pairing him with Cody Ceci is just not fair. Like, goddamn. Like, he's doing the best that he can. But that was a huge win for Dallas. They win that one in Edmonton. So they split the series there. Both teams winning on the road. So, some series it really matters. I feel like a lot more nowadays. It's generally series are getting split. I remember back in the day, like, it was official. Like, oh, if you have home ice, like, you win the series. That's how it kind of used to be when in the early days when I was watching hockey. Like, it was Leafs at home, they beat Ottawa. Leafs in Ottawa, they always lose to Ottawa, and so on and so forth. And then I was humbled when Philadelphia came into Toronto and just spanked a bitch. So yeah, I learned pretty quickly that's not necessarily how it always works, but that's a good series, man, right here, and a huge game coming up next. Game 4, Dallas can really take a stranglehold of the series here and go up 3-1, and that would completely eliminate Edmonton's home ice advantage. And then you're going back home to Dallas, and that fucking crazy crowd, like, every time they score, and I don't know what they're doing. Is it like bumpa? Yeah, bumpa, stars? I don't know, but it's fucking cool. A great environment, a hard environment to play in, but Edmonton does have a win on the road, and it's going to be tough to beat Edmonton twice in Edmonton. So Edmonton's going to come out swinging tonight. They're going to go fucking crazy, but they can't turn off the gas pedal like they did in the last game. That absolutely cost them Dallas took the momentum, and that was it, man. So, I mean, that's a pretty basic rule. Like, dude, like that shit is over, man. Like, holding on to leads, like just holding back and letting teams come at you with an attack, especially a team like Dallas where it is wave and line after line after line nonstop. Bad idea. And Skinner, like, he's not going to make like 20 saves in a period and keep it all out. So you got to play better than that, Edmonton. And I hope they learned a very valuable lesson and got humbled there by Dallas, because especially with Rupe Heinz back in there, they're more dangerous than ever. They're pretty much essentially complete now. Very dangerous. Ottinger continues to play very good, and yeah, man, they're locked in. It's going to be tough. And Edmonton, it's a must-win game. It really is for Edmonton. They can't go down 3-1 to Dallas. I just can't see them coming back down 3-1. They have to tie up the series. Hopefully they do, because I want it to continue to be... I would love it to go 7. That would be fantastic. That's all of our dream, right? Except for Dallas and Edmonton fans. They want it over in yesterday, in a sweep. That would be great for them. But for us outside fans, it's been a really fun series. I'm enjoying it. And Zach Hyman. I love Zach Hyman. He could be... I know he probably won't get any Conn Smythe love because, Connor McDavid, he just throws it on net and it goes off Hyman and it's in. And yeah, that happens. But fuck, dude, it is so hard to play the game that Zach Hyman does. It's not only is it underappreciated, but he's in front of the net battling against huge fucking defensemen. You do his job, and you'll find out really quick how hard it is. Like, I always appreciated Zach Hyman and what he did for the Leafs. I mean, it sucks that he goes. Like, in hindsight, you look back at all the guys that the Leafs let go, always the wrong moves, and the trades that they didn't pull the trigger on, always the wrong move. It's like, so there it is. But hey, makes me really happy. I have guys I'm rooting for on both teams. I mean, I'm rooting for Zach Hyman. I'm rooting for Connor Brown, man. Like, he got that goal. That was so fucking... Every time that guy does anything, I'm just so happy for him. I just love that guy. He's the man. I love Connor Brown and Zach Hyman. So I'm rooting for them. But on the Dallas side, it's Jovo Cop, Robo Cop, and Robertson and shit. Like, oh my god, yeah. It's been a good series. I'm very excited for the game tonight. That will be a lot of fun. Let's go now to the violence. I mean, the Florida versus New York series. My goodness, Lafreniere. I'm starting with this guy. This kid has fucking been unbelievable. And this is the kind of stuff that we saw very early in his career. I believe he had like ridiculous World Juniors, or he was a big playoff guy, or he was a big gamer. He showed that ability in his young age. And here he is in the playoffs yet again. I believe this is not the first time that Lafreniere has produced well in the playoffs. He's done it before. But oh my god, is he not scoring some of the nicest freaking goals we have seen in the playoffs so far? So Lafreniere so far, 14 games, 13 points, 7 goals, and 6 assists. And man, he has scored nice goals. I think it was game 2. Regardless, the backhand goals that he was scoring. The first one was gorgeous, one of the best goals in the playoffs, and then he tops it with an even nicer one after that. Just bombing down the wing. He cuts in, forehand, backhand cheese. I'm like, oh my god, I creamed 18 times. That was disgusting. Lafreniere is emerging in the playoffs and really just tearing off that bust tag that whatever people are still putting that on him. I hope you've knocked that shit off, because he is playing incredible for the Rangers right now. He would definitely be in contention for their Conn Smythe right now. He's been really good. No, he hasn't really had amazing playoff runs, I will admit. 20 games, he got 9 points. Last season, I think that was last season. Yeah, last season, 7 games, 0 points. So, and then this one, 14 games, 13 points. So this is him emerging right here in front of our eyes in the playoffs. Maybe that is going to be the career story of Lafreniere. Like, hey, maybe he doesn't become that 90, 100 point first overall pick in the regular season, but this guy fucking plays hard in the playoffs, and that is immensely important. Now, in terms of other Conn Smythe contenders for the New York Rangers, I mean, you got to go to Igor. Igor Shesterkin has been outstanding for them. Let's pull up his stats right here. 15 games played. He's got the 10 wins. Wait, hold on. Am I looking at Bobrovsky? No, 14 games, 10 wins, 2.38 goals against, and the 923 save percentage, man. Absolutely outstanding. That is tied with Jake Ottinger, 923, with guys that are still in the playoffs right now. So Shesterkin, absolutely in contention for sure. He's made some fucking ridiculous saves. I gotta throw out Vincent Trocheck as well. The guy has been ridiculous, especially in this series as well. He's been involved, I think, in virtually all the offense, all the goals. I think he's been involved, if not in all of them, all but one, something like that. Trocheck has been an animal, an absolute animal, especially against his old Florida team. That's gotta sting. So Trocheck has got to also get some votes in there. He has been outrageous. 14 games, 19 points, 8 goals, 11 assists. He's been unreal, man. He's been fantastic for New York, battling. He's been like a Matthew Tkachuk for New York. I mean, he's been chippy, he's been hard to play against, winning face-offs, like incredibly effective, continues to be one of the best free agency signings. I don't know if I would say all time, but he has been a huge ad for New York, so he's been great. Who else do we got for New York? I'm pretty happy. I think that's enough guys. I mean, Mika Zibanejad he's not been scoring a lot of goals, so I don't think he's been okay. Like, he's got a point per game, so you can't really rat on him too much, but you would want some more goals out of him. On the Florida side, you got to go Matthew Tkachuk. He's been an animal out there. He started a little bit slow, but he's getting better and better. 5 goals, 19 points in 15 games. You would want a few more goals, but he's getting there. I gotta say Barkov. Barkov has been, 17 points in 15 games. That's outrageous, but it's all the other things that he does as a two-way forward. Unbelievable defensive ability. That guy, when he gets into the offensive zone, like, if he has the puck, good luck getting it from him. Like, when Barkov has the puck, there's a calmness to Florida. Like, everything's okay. Barkov's got the puck. He's going to make a great play. It's going to be all right. And face-offs, he's been unbelievable. Freaking Barkov's insane. Verhaeghe has been outstanding again. He's got 9 goals, 17 points, 15 games. There's a lot to like on Florida. I know he won't get any Conn Smythe love, but Oliver Ekman-Larsson's been really freaking good for Florida. I just want to shout him out. Ekblad's been playing a lot better. He was getting some shit earlier in the series, but he's been playing better. Bobrovsky, his numbers don't reflect how good he has played, a .904 save percentage, but I imagine he would get some consideration for Conn Smythe, but I don't think he's in a position to win it at this point. But let's talk about the series. My goodness, I think it was the game 2. No, game 3. No, game 3 was the really fun one, but an overall really fun series. Game 2, we got nanigans, we got brawling early in the game, and that, I think it's the Tkachuk quote where he's like, the first 5 or 10 minutes of the game, we play like there's no puck or something like that. And you can kind of see that they're just throwing the body, they're going fucking crazy. Brawling after early in the game, the Rangers score in the middle of all of the craziness. And then there's the Kulikov hit on Wenberg. I thought there was some head contact there, but upon replay, it looks like it was okay. I don't think there was any discipline for that, but like in the moment, I was like, holy fucking shit, that guy's dead. Here's my boy, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. He legitimately saved a goal in overtime. And then another guy, he could potentially get some Conn Smythe love because he's been so good, but Barclay Goodrow, man. This guy, these are the kind of guys that you need on a team. You maybe don't want to be paying him as much as he's getting paid, but this is the guy that shows up in the playoffs. He is so damn effective, and the craziest thing is the dude had, I think, 4 goals this season. He's already got 6 goals in this playoff. He gets the overtime winning goal for the Rangers in overtime. Like, he has been an animal out there. Like, every time I'm watching, I'm noticing Goodrow was out there. I'm like, this guy's been insane. And people giving him shit. I hear that the Rangers were, asking for him to get this guy off our team, get this contract off the books. I don't think they're saying that shit right now because Barclay Goodrow has been that, unsung hero that you need in the bottom 6 or, your bottom pairing defense. You need those guys to emerge every once in a while and get these huge goals. And this guy has been scoring huge freaking goals for the Rangers. And then we get to Game 3. Game 3 was so much fun. That was such a fun game. Reinhart and Lafreniere going goal for goal. Like, oh, you going backhand? I'm going backhand. Just really fun. And then the fun gets a little less fun when Jacob Trouba does a Jacob Trouba thing. He throws a fucking dirty-ass elbow to Rodriguez. And, the referees made the wrong call on that one. They do give Trouba the double minor they called him for 2 penalties. It was like slashing and then elbowing. But then the league, the next day, they fine Trouba, which means they think it should have been the 5-minute, which means it should have given Florida a 7-minute power play, which, the referees probably discussed, I don't know if we want to give them a 7-minute power play, which means a 5-minute major, which means they get the full 5 minutes, and that's a game changer. So, but the league thinks they called it wrong. That's what the fine means to us, is that they're saying, like, hey, you fucked up, without us, having a press conference saying, in fact, you fucked up. But they fucked up, apparently. But I think 4 minutes was, a lot. 4 minutes, I know it's not what it was supposed to be, but I mean, I guess they're lucky they even got the 4. Like, can you imagine if they only called the 2 minutes? But yeah, that was a really fucking dirty hit. And then guess who scores it again? Gaudreau scores a wicked shorthanded goal in that game, and holy fuck, man, the guy has been unbelievable. And they send it to overtime. Wenberg with the overtime winning goal. Damn, bro. So at this point, I was a little bit nervous there for Florida. I'm like, shit, they're down 2-1. Rangers, they had that potential to go up 3-1 and like stranglehold this series, but thankfully Florida gets the win. Both teams' power play was clicking pretty well in that one. I found that to be, starting to become more of a situation for the Rangers and Florida. Both of their power plays are starting to click. Verhaeghe, another gross goal. When he batted that one out of midair, oh my God. I was celebrating so hard, and then like immediately had my heart torn out because I saw the referee like calling it off. But I was like, oh, okay, they're just going to look at it to make sure. But it was a good goal, a really good goal. That shit was nasty. And then here he comes again, Lafreniere, another clutch goal, sending this game to its 3rd straight overtime. But this time, it's the Panthers that get the overtime winner. It's Sam Reinhart, who has been fantastic. He is starting to score consistently for the Panthers right now, and that is a big problem. So Panthers tie up the series. It's 2-2 now, so Game 5 is the big one. That is going to be the big momentum shifter, and I think right now the Panthers going to be holding on to momentum. It's going to be tough. I think they're going to be going back to New York now, so we'll see what happens. That game is going to be maddening. It's going to be crazy. Probably going to be questions if they're going to put in Rempe. I don't think he was in that game, but he was in the other game, and he was pretty effective. He helped score that 4th-line goal where he was in front of the net blocking the goaltender because he's a fucking skyscraper. He's huge. So we'll see if Rempe gets back in there. I don't know. Probably not. I think they would want to go with a little bit more veteran the further they get into the series, but it's been a rough one, man. It has been a feisty series. Really enjoying it. Fast-paced hockey. A lot of fun. So let me know which series you're enjoying the most so far. I would edge towards the Florida side. I feel like, honestly, Florida's my favorite right now just because they haven't won. I find myself rooting and cheering and getting the most excited when Florida scores. And I'm not hopefully I'm not disrespecting Rangers fans. Like, I've honestly counted them out this whole entire playoff. I don't think I've chosen them in any of the series, so they have done nothing but prove me wrong, and I've been very impressed with their team. I mean, Adam Fox, that spin move in that game and almost scoring. He got the spin move. That was when he passed it over to Lafreniere, and oh my good. You know what maybe upsets me about the Rangers whenever I watch them is the fact that Adam Fox is there. And he should have been a goddamn Calgary Flame, damn it. We drafted him, and he should be ours. It should be ours. It's okay. I'm over it. Not a big deal. I'm over it. It's okay. He's having a good time in New York. It's okay. He wanted to be there. He didn't want to be in Calgary. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not upset. I'm over it. We're over it. All right. We're over the playoffs. Let me know what your favorite series has been so far. But Dallas-Edmonton's been it's been great. I'm really impressed. Generally, I find the hockey slows down a little bit as the playoffs move on because of injuries and fatigue and so on and so forth. It's a long series and an even longer playoff. But I've been really impressed. Even though the goals have been, it's been a lower scoring playoff all around. That you look at the goals, it's just lower. Straight up, numbers say it. But I've enjoyed the hockey. It's been a lot of fun. Playoff hockey is my favorite. It's really becoming a little bit of a grind to watch regular season hockey, just because it lacks the intensity. And I would bring up that argument again, we should fucking shorten the season a little bit. But they've talked about lengthening the season. So I guess fuck me on that one. I don't think I'm going to get my wish, but oh well, it's okay. Let's move on from playoff stuff to non-playoff stuff. So some of the not really fun, but the more interesting things that come out when playoff teams get eliminated are injuries. So Pettersson, Vancouver, Elias Pettersson getting tons of flack throughout the playoffs for not playing up to his standard. And yeah, he's shown in the past that he can be a playoff guy. He had a fantastic run for them before, and then this one, not so much. People were like, why was that happening? Well, I'll tell you why. Well, apparently Pettersson was dealing with a knee injury since January, so yeah, that's not great. And I feel like it's rather, athletes are proud people, and maybe he didn't disclose how bad it really was, or maybe it didn't get really bad until playoff time when shit gets way more intense. Like, the back half of the NHL regular season could maybe be a little bit less intense as it is at the beginning of the season, especially depending on how competitive your schedule is and shit. But regardless, Pettersson was dealing with a knee situation, which clearly was affecting him. It was pretty noticeable throughout the playoffs that, like, yeah, something's going on. Like, he's not playing like Elias Pettersson. And even in the back half of the season, where they're like, yeah, he definitely toned it down, and that this knee situation explains a lot of this. So that's encouraging, at least for some Vancouver fans that were asking for his head to be put on a pitchfork or whatever and have him hung or whatever they want to do with him and get rid of the contract and send him to the moon. I think that calmed them down a little bit. So they're like, all right, well, if he heals up and he scores 40 points in 10 playoff games or 16 playoff games and we win 16 straight and we win a cup, then fine, we might be satisfied and be okay with Pettersson. But until he does that, you're on thin ice, buddy, so you better watch yourself, Pettersson. But hey, I'm fine with Pettersson. I think he's an unreal player, and he's going to bounce back, hopefully, as long as the knee and everything recovers fine. If he comes back 100% healthy, he'll be a 90 to 100-point player again for Vancouver. And then hopefully, again, healthy, has a great playoff run for Vancouver. And that's going to be the other big question for Vancouver. Can they get back to the playoffs next season? They have some things they want to do there. There's some tinkerings that need to go on with the team. Hronek is a big question mark for Vancouver. What are they going to do with that guy? It doesn't seem like they're going to keep him. It doesn't sound like it from what I've been hearing. He's going to want a lot of money. A lot of money. We're talking like $7 to $9 million range for this guy. And at the beginning of the season, it looked like, fuck yeah, this guy's unbelievable. He's getting assists in every game. He's not scoring very much, but he's getting a lot of assists. Oh, hey, he scored a goal or two. That's pretty good. And then he went very, very much so dormant in the back half of the season, which is not encouraging. So maybe he blew his load early. He's in a contract year. He's excited. He wants to get paid, clearly, which you can't blame a guy for wanting to get paid. You can't get mad at them for that. Except if you're Mitch Marner, then you get very mad at that guy only. But I don't think Vancouver is encouraged or willing to pay him that much. I don't think they saw that much worth out of him. Yes, he's been a fantastic partner for Quinn Hughes. Look at his production this year, the best season of his career. Probably did he win? I don't know. We'll get into awards another day when they're all awarded. We'll just fucking wait until they're all out. But yeah, I think they could. I'm not going to say that he's easily replaceable, but I think they're going to spend their money hopefully more wisely. There's been a lot of ups and downs in terms of signings and tradings and money getting spent by Vancouver. And at this point, they need to be very smart with it, what they're going to do with it in the future. And I think they need to keep Garland, and what I saw out of him in the playoffs, he was a monster. Dakota Joshua is going to be a really tough one. It sounds like he is going to get paid a lot of money. He is a rare breed in this league, like a very kind of stereotypical power forward that just big, strong, can score big goals and hit hard and just do a little bit of everything and just be very effective on the ice. So what his next contract looks like is going to be very interesting, and will it or will it not be with Vancouver? We will obviously dive a lot more into all those mechanics as we get into the offseason and stuff, but that is something to look out for Vancouver fans. It's going to be a pretty, important offseason for them. Speaking of important offseason, Carolina has moved on from their GM, Don Waddell, or Don Waddell would say he moved on from them because he resigns as GM of the Carolina Hurricanes. Eric Tulsky has been named interim GM. I know that name, but I can't really say I'm all that familiar. And then the rumors immediately were like, oh, Don Waddell, he's going to Columbus. It's happening. It's already official, basically. And then it's been made official. Columbus, they hire Don Waddell as their new president/GM. So I think that's good for Carolina fans and kind of good for, very good for Columbus fans, I would say. I don't know what this really means for Carolina. It sounds like they were already ready to move on from him and go a different direction in terms of GM. Like, he's done good moves, but he's definitely a little bit stingy, right? Like, they've generally have shown up until this season that they don't like to make the big moves at the trade deadline and bring in the big asset and do that kind of thing. And maybe that Rod the Bod is like, yo, enough of this shit. Look at what Gensel just did. We're on the right track. We're getting closer. So maybe it's a different shift. Is Tulsky going to be the guy for the rest? I don't know. I have no idea, but that's where we're at right now for Carolina, and it's kind of interesting, but probably the right move because this is such a huge offseason for Carolina. So many unrestricted free agents. You got Necas, the restricted free agent. He sounds like he's gone because his dad came out and basically said so, and then he got a pee-pee whack, and he's shut the fuck up about that ever since, I do believe. But Necas sounds like he's all but gone, and probably the right move. I would pick Gensel at this point over him. Gensel's a proven commodity at this point. Necas, he's been inconsistent, so I would personally move on from that one. Defense is going to be a struggle. Like, it's going to be tough. Like, you know, is there a way they can move off of Brett Burns? Like, he's still a good player, but the age. And, you know, would you want to keep him over a Brady Shea and a Pesci and shit like that? It sounds like one are gone, but I don't know. It's a huge one, and now they're moving direction. So keeping Tulsky, that adds up because he's in the organization. He knows probably what they want to do. So I feel like at this point it should be just like Rod Brindamore as GM coach. Just let him fucking build this team and coach it, and he will win you a cup. He's like, I know what I'm doing. Just let me do it. Fuck. And then, I don't know, maybe that's what's going on, but very interesting. Another, again, just, it's going to be a big one for Carolina, see what the fuck they do. And now, for Columbus, they get Don Waddell, who has shown that he can build a team, a successful team. And Columbus, they just need some fucking stability at this point, and Don Waddell, he's shown stability. You know, Carolina's been a good team. They've built a fantastic culture over there. You know, they were pretty dormant for a long time there, just kind of like a team that existed, and now they're super popular. They have lots of numerous successful runs in the playoffs. No Stanley Cup since 2006, but I mean, they keep getting close. They're knocking on the door. Is this the step that pushes them over the limit or sets them back? That's going to be the question for Carolina. But to Columbus, I think this is good for them. Like, again, it'll add them stability, some structure, probably get you some good contracts. Don't overspend on this or that. I doubt Columbus is going to be like a to the salary cap type of team, but they have a great fan base there, and they got to cultivate that. They got to show some, consistency, and show them like, hey, okay, we got a grasp on this thing. We're sorry about Babcock. We don't know what the fuck that was. We just weren't thinking that day. So try and move off of that. And, yeah, you got some work to do over there, Dan. So get her done, and we'll see what happens with the Columbus Blue Jackets in the offseason. It's going to be a big one for them. Moving on, we got some coach news here. So we got some new coaches. Winnipeg hire Scott Arniel. He is named as the Jets' new head coach after Bowness retires. I mean, it was kind of in there already after the season that he had. Some medical issues, leaving the team, I think, 2 or 3 times this year for medical reasons. So, and he's like 67 or something like that. Like, go retire, go be on a beach, go have fun, do something. Damn. And he's already on panels and shit. Like, oh my God, bro, like, take a fucking break. Anyway, Scott Arniel, can't really say much about him. I hear good things about him, so that's cool. Nice to see him getting a chance. I think he was like probably assistant coach or something. Honestly, I don't really have a fucking idea. Let's move on to the one that's really interesting, though. Seattle names Dan Bylsma as head coach. Whoa, man, that's a name from the past. I haven't heard that name in a hot minute. That makes me think of Arizona. Was he not there in Arizona for a long time? Very interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure how that one's going to work out for Seattle. I can't even remember what kind of coaching style that fucking Dan Bylsma had. I feel like he was in Philadelphia and Arizona, and I don't think those teams were very good. So we'll see what happens with the Kraken. Maybe they're going a different direction. I know Hackstall's always kind of been a defensive kind of coach, so maybe they're going to try and score some more goals. That was a big struggle for them last season, but you look at the team, and there's not a lot of superstar scoring power there yet. So maybe this new coaching change, maybe this guy can get something out of Shane Wright. That maybe this is the Shane Wright whisperer, and you can get this guy into the lineup and finally play some freaking games for the Kraken. All right, let's move on. Quick note here from Colorado. Landeskog hopes to return next season. I mean, we all do. We all hope he returns next season and plays great. And Nichushkin, he comes back and plays great, and he's healthy and happy, and everything's okay, and Colorado can go on and win 3 cups in a row, because I think they have that potential as long as everything can be held back together again and stay healthy, and maybe figure out the goaltending situation, add some depth on D, and maybe, and then some other stuff. But okay, that's a good sign. Hey, he wants to come back. I mean, he's been saying that probably the whole time. Of course, he's not going to say like, oh, I don't think I'm ever going to come back. Like, that's not the right attitude. So encouraging. Let's hope. I mean, there were talks that he could have potentially came back this playoff run if they got really deep, but it was, a pretty big if. And so kind of encouraging to hear that he's working to get back. That's good. So let's talk about the PHWL playoffs. So I teased it a little bit last week. I didn't quite know what the fate was of the Toronto team just yet. And it was the worst. Oh, the worst happened. It happened. They lost 3 straight. They got eliminated. And no blame. It's just Natalie Spooner, that injury. It sunk the team. It is what it is. She's the offense of that team. And they got shut out. I don't think all 3 times, but they got shut out, I think, twice after her injury. So yeah, kind of sucks. Big disappointing loss for Toronto in their first season of existence. Yeah. It's not really much. It's just, kind of classic Toronto heartbreak. It is what it is. But they know they're going to come back. Spooner's going to be healthy, and they'll come back at it and be good. Hopefully, maybe next year. And then, poor Minnesota. Poor Minnesota. The most Minnesotian thing in sports happened to them again. They friggin' score in overtime. They think they won the championship. Banana, says the referee. Goaltender interference, bitch. We restart the game. Boston scores minutes later, and they're going to Game 5. Game 7, basically. The final sudden death. Oh, dear, says the Minnesotians. It probably, I don't know. We'll talk about it next week. I'm not even going to look into it. I don't want to know just yet. I can't handle it. My heart's already racing from the Toronto stuff, so I don't want to know. Don't tell me about it. Hopefully it's okay for Minnesota. They deserve to win something. God dang it. So much terrible luck for them. Speaking of terrible luck, let's talk about that crazy World Cup of hockey, whatever the hell is going on over there. I don't even know where it's going on, but there's other hockey going on, if you didn't know, outside of the NHL playoffs. John Tavares and Pasternak and fucking Niederreiter over there. Bennington's over there fighting people probably, I don't know. But they're over there in a tournament, and it didn't go so good for the Canadians. Now, the Canadian team isn't at full capacity. There's no McDavid. There's no, not everybody went in. They had Tavares. He was good for some people giving him shit, but he played well. He was good. Dylan Cousins, I believe, had a good run as well. Binnington catching flack because, you know, the losing goaltender's just always going to get shit. Like, oh, I should have been better. It's like, I let in 1 goal in overtime and 57 saves, and he's still not good enough. It doesn't matter. But the Canadians, disappointing, kind of wacky freaking tournament for them. So they had a 5-goal lead against Latvia. They blew that. Thankfully, they didn't lose that game, but they damn near almost did and freaking gave half of Canada a heart attack, I guess. And then they allowed 2 goals on 2 shots versus Norway, and everyone's like, my goodness, can we not get a save? And then they are eliminated in the Final Four versus Switzerland in a shootout, and I think it was Niederreiter who put it away. And for the rest of the tournament, it's Sweden gets bronze, Switzerland wins the silver, and it's Czechia winning gold with David Pastrnak on the team. That guy is a fucking superstar, man. All he does is be mostly successful. I mean, he hadn't win shit with the Bruins yet, but he wins a lot more in playoffs than the Leafs do. So got you, Leaf fans. I'm a Leaf fan, so I got myself. It's okay. It's all right. We're used to it over here in Toronto. But that's all the news I think I got for today. I am very excited for the Edmonton-Dallas game tonight. Huge one. Wait, is it Edmonton? Yeah, Edmonton-Dallas. I hope it's tonight. Let me check. Let's take a look. Oh, baby. Great. I have tonight off, so I can watch that shit in most of its entirety. Anyway, that would be fun. So thank you everybody so much for listening. Let me know again what your favorite series have been so far. Who your favorite player is. Doesn't matter. Just let me know. I upload all of these episodes over on YouTube. The Gamer GX Videos podcast YouTube channel. There, God, I'm struggling. But anyway, just follow the link down there. There's a link down there. It'll take you to the channel. You subscribe, and a great place to drop a comment, a question. You want a question answered live on the podcast, get your name shouted out, all that good stuff. Drop a comment on the YouTube channel. That's a great place. Anything about wrestling, hockey, video games, doesn't really matter, but be appropriate, be nice. And I'll answer your question, shout you out on the podcast. It would be fantastic. I would love that. There's a Twitter page you can go and follow along with. I put up announcements, let you know when the podcasts are out and what I'm doing, as best I can. Of course, I'm only human. And what else is there? An email address if you just want to have a private conversation or anything like that. My door is always open. There's an email address there for you. If you want to have a conversation about anything, again, it's there for you. And what else have we got going on for the podcast this week? So I just put out yesterday was the double pay-per-view review for AEW's Double or Nothing and WWE's King and Queen of the Ring. So I would love if you go back there and listen to that one. There was Fire, and Fire is a lot of fun. So go find out what they did with the Fire and listen to that review, and that would be a lot of fun. I just, last week's GamerCast was Fire Emblem. There was also a secret top 5 thrown in there, so you can go and listen to that episode, try and find the top 5 and figure out what that little secret top 5 was. And if you did, let me know what it was and give you a piece of candy or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have, whatever. In terms of what I want to do for this week's GamerCast, might be a little bit of a lighter one, but I want to talk about the PS2 games that I grew up with before I did my great purge and I sold a majority of those games that I grew up with. I want to talk about that bundle of games, that special group of games. We'll talk about all those ones and a couple of really special rentals that I had, really important rental games that I didn't necessarily own them, but I played the majority, if not the whole thing, in a weekend, and it was very important and stuck with me. I'll talk about those games as well. So that'll be this week's GamerCast, and the WrestleCast will be a regular recap. There better not be any more fucking pay-per-views. I am wrestled out. Double pay-per-view on the weekend. That was 10 hours of wrestling. I'm just I'm good, bro. I'm good. I don't want any more pay-per-views. I'm good. So again, thank you everybody so much for listening. Thank you for being here. If you're new, if you've been here since the beginning, you're the best. You're awesome. Review, tell people about the podcast. Let them know if you got a friend or a family member that likes wrestling, hockey, video games. Let them know about this guy. I'm on the block. I'm here. I'm doing my thing. So let them know, and we'll be back again with some more GX Plus Cast.